New parts in my kitchen, in my freezer, don't tell Cat. These bits will be sided. These pins are too short, definitely looks the part. Hopefully I'll be able to do this on my own. Right, thought I'd jump in Maude's cockpit to explain what I found yesterday, and there's something else I want to talk to you guys about. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and in this video I'm going to be fitting some brand new parts to Maude, my Maude Mk2 Escort. Said new parts are laid out in my kitchen. Don't worry, my beautiful girlfriend Kat is at work, so what she doesn't know won't hurt her. Let's have a closer look at these parts. So over here I've got a brand new pair of M16 brake calipers for the front of Maude. I've got the other one in the box here, and these are to replace the calipers that I recently ground to clear the RS hubs on the Capri front legs that I recently fit. Now I bought these as a kit, and they are to suit vented brake discs. I've actually bought a brand new pair of brake discs. I won't be fitting these to Maude, I'll just be keeping them in the garage because Esther and Maude are both running the same brake setup, so whichever car needs brake discs first in the future can have these new ones. So yeah, these are vented, drilled and grooved discs, as I've already got fitted to both cars. Now, to run M16 calipers with a vented disc setup, you need spacers in the calipers. Now, the company that I got these brakes from basically got in touch with me and said they didn't have any of the calipers that, you know, come already spaced in stock, but they do sell the kit to convert your non-vented brakes to vented. So I just said, yeah, send me the kit to save me having to wait for you to get them in stock, and I'll just put them together myself. You know, it's the same thing. You know, the calipers for the vented kit just have the spacers already in them. So yeah, I still need to take the two halves of these calipers apart and put the spacer kit in, and then these will be suitable to wrap around the vented discs that are already fitted to Maude. Now, to make these calipers fit without grinding some of the material away, I assume, because I'm pretty sure the calipers that are fitted to Maude currently are the same as these, you know, the RS2000 spec M16 calipers. But anyway, to ensure that I won't need to do any grinding, I've actually now bought a set of the alloy front hubs for Maude. And these are the same ones that I've got fitted to Esther, which actually push the front wheels out 10mm each side. So the hub is longer essentially. And here are said alloy hubs. Got these from my friends at Burton Power, and I'll leave a link to their website in the description as usual. Also got some front bearings from Burton Power. The outer races, or the bearing shells, aren't in these bags, and I'll explain why in a minute. But yeah, much like I had to with the used steel RS hubs recently, I'm going to need to press the races of the bearings into these hubs. But yeah, these alloy hubs are a bit lighter than the original steel ones. They're also going to dissipate heat out of the brakes a lot better than the steel ones. And as I say, because they're sort of longer, they actually give you 10mm extra track width each side. And one thing I realised after I'd fitted the Capri front legs to Maude, which I really wasn't expecting, is that for some reason the wheel poke isn't as aggressive with the Capri front legs compared to the old 1300 Escort front legs, which meant I had room to fit these alloy hubs and push the wheels out and improve the track. So before I do anything, I'm going to need to fit the outer shells of the bearings into these hubs. And I've actually ruined one of these alloy hubs in the past by using the idiot with a hammer and socket method. So I'm actually going to try a different method today, and that's why we're in the kitchen. Now, I'm sure some of you out there are going to be in the comments and say I shouldn't be doing it this way, but I've done a bit of research, and with my small amount of intelligence, I think this not only will work, but there shouldn't be any downsides. So my plan is to heat up the new alloy hubs on the stove, don't tell Kat, and I've actually already got the bearing shells in my freezer, and they've actually been in there overnight, so yeah, they're really cold, but I'll leave them in there until I actually need to pull them out. So I think I'll use these two hubs because they're both sort of the same size, so in theory they'll heat up the hubs an equal amount. I don't know. we'll just lean the hubs on there. Now in my mind, the fact that these hubs are going to get hot when they're on the car in use anyway, because they're going to be dissipating heat out of the brakes, means that heating them up isn't going to be an issue. I'm obviously going to let them cool down naturally afterwards. I'm not going to put them under, you know, the cold tap or anything, because, you know, cooling them down really quick could cause issues. Yeah, as long as I don't get them too hot, I think this will be all right. And I'm hoping, probably optimistically, that the shells will actually just drop in. But I do have my hammer and my drift set here, just in case I do need a little tap. Oh, look at that. Literally just dropped in. That worked way better than I was expecting. Quality. The only problem is, I don't want the other one to fall out. And I can see a little gap forming. Might just mean that I have to give them a little tap just to make sure that they're fully home once it's cooled down. I mean, it's not going to be much. While I'm waiting for the hubs to cool down, I may as well put the spacer kit into the new calipers. So we've got 4 bolts holding the 2 halves of the caliper together, 2 different sizes. And just like that, the caliper falls in half. I believe these bits will be sided. So you've got this O-ring here, and you do actually get some O-rings in this kit as well. I think there's 4 in there, so I'm guessing you're going to need 2 per side. Yeah, let's figure out how this goes. So, yeah, so that fits on there, but that's for the other side, and it's actually this one. So you've got an O-ring here, which goes against the flat here. These 2 bolt sizes are different, so they line up. And then you've got a groove in this side where you put another O-ring, which goes against the flat of this side. I'm sure last time I didn't like the new O-ring compared to this for some reason. We'll change it. That goes like that. And that will sit in there. And then for the other one, these 2 pieces do look exactly the same. See, I don't think that one matters, to be honest. Just got to make sure that you've got the bigger bolt there and the smaller bolt there. So now, got to put it all back together with the longer bolts, making sure that that O-ring stays in there and that O-ring stays in there. So I'll put the bolt through like that. Get it in a couple of turns. Sweet. That is 1 caliper converted. And hopefully by the time I've done the other one, the hubs would have cooled down. Although they are still really hot. Well, after I put the second caliper together, I had to wait ages for the hubs to cool down. But once they had cooled, I gave all of the bearing races a quick tap with my lump hammer and my drift set, just to make sure that the bearing seats were fully home where they were supposed to be. And I then packed out the hub with this bearing grease, and I've put the inner bearing in and the seal in. The outer bearing, which is the smaller of the 2, obviously doesn't go in until you've actually got the hub onto the strut. I've got the new calipers in their boxes ready to take round to the garage as well. So yeah, I'm going to get round there, pull Maude out and crack on with this job. With Maude's front wheel removed, what I should have done first was remove the brake caliper, but instead I removed the dust cap, the split pin, the castle nut and the nut from the front wheel hub. Realising my mistake, I then bent back the locking tab so that I could remove the bolts that hold the caliper to the strut. I then pulled the hub off of the strut, then bent back the locking tabs to remove the bolts to disconnect the hub from the disc. I then checked that these bolts were going to screw into the new hubs okay, and I checked that the old wheel studs I had were going to be suitable. With all the wheel studs now pressed into the new hub, I was able to reverse the process from earlier on by bolting the new hub and brake disc together and then fitting the new hub and brake disc to the strut. And I greased up the brand new outer bearing and put that in. After giving the brake disc a clean with brake cleaner, it was time to start getting the new caliper bolted to the strut. The bolts need to go through the locking tab thing, and I always put a washer between that and the caliper because the bolts always seem to be too long. Between the caliper and the strut, you need to put those little spacers. When I tried to remove the hard brake line from the old caliper, it broke, but I was able to transfer over the brake pads from the old brake caliper successfully. I always struggle getting these pins and clips in for the brake pads, but when the battle's over, it should look something like that, unless I've done it wrong. Yeah, one thing I've just realised is these pins, and these are a sort of pin and R-clip design. So once you put the pin through, you put an R-clip on the end like this. And these are the ones that were on my old calipers, and I prefer these to the split pin type ones, which actually came with the spacer kit. Anyway, these pins are too short for the new calipers. Now, I always thought that Maude was always running M16 calipers just because they are a, dual pot spaced caliper. But yeah, when I sort of hold them up against each other and sort of compare, this width to this width, these ones are wider, and that's why those pins weren't able to be transferred over from these calipers to these calipers. So that might have also been why I needed to shave so much off of these calipers to make them work with the normal RS hubs. I'm guessing that although this bit is narrower on these calipers, maybe this area just sticks out a bit more than the RS calipers would. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, it seems like these weren't M16 calipers. In fact, those pistons do look quite small compared to these ones. So yeah, this is probably going to be a brake upgrade for Maude, which is good. And yeah, it just means I'm going to have to use these split pin type pins to go into these calipers. Definitely looks the part with the new calipers and new alloy hubs on. Shame about the old brake discs. Shame about the brake pipe that I'm going to need to make up. I don't have the stuff here, so I'll have to go over to my other garage to do that. And yeah, I reckon I'm going to run out of light soon, so I'm probably not going to have time to crack on with the other side round here today. But one thing I do want to do quickly is bung the wheel back on the driver's side, get the car back on the ground, then we can compare the wheel fitment with the other side that's still got the other hub on, and hopefully there's a little bit more poke with the new hubs. Well, the good news is the fitment has been improved, which we knew it would be with the wider hubs, but the tyres are still not poking out past the arches at the top, so still completely legal. At the other side, you can clearly see at the top of the tyre there, it's way sunk into the arch. I don't think there's any issues of it rubbing, not that bothered if it rubs a little bit on this car, to be honest. One of the rear tyres definitely rubs on the arches at times. So yeah, that is literally perfect in my opinion. Now obviously still need to crack on with the other side, which I'm going to do off camera, and going to have to make up at least one brake line. Hopefully the other side will get away with not making a new brake line. But yeah, tomorrow I'm actually going to pick up something really cool for this car, which I'm probably not going to show in the video for a while. And yeah, I think the day after that, I'm going to be continuing this video, so I'll see you in a sec. Hello, so a few days have passed, and the other day I picked up some seriously cool parts from Maude. They're parts that I've always wanted. I'm not going to reveal them in this video, but if you're a patron, go and check the latest video on there to find out what they are. But yeah, I can tell you that they're definitely going to make Maude a bit faster than she is now. Also, since the last clip, I fitted the new alloy hub and brand new M16 caliper to the passenger side, and you can see that I've also got a brand new brake line fitted. I decided to make up 2 brand new brake lines, seeing as I had to replace the driver's side one anyway, which I haven't yet fitted. Now, I've shown how to make these brake lines before on the channel, but for any of you guys that are new to the channel or anyone that is interested in seeing how I go about that, I'll put a clip in now to show you. I use this type of flaring tool with a handle, and I use copper for my brake pipe. Once the pipe has been cut to length, you need to ream and file the ends to remove any excess material. Then you need to insert the pipe into the tool, but make sure you leave the bolts on the side of the tool finger tight only. Then you take this threaded piece from the kit and screw it into the side of the tool, and then once you know the copper pipe is leaning against that threaded piece, you can then do up the bolts on the side of the tool and remove the threaded piece. This other threaded piece is the die that makes the flares. One end of it is labelled Op1. Always use that end first. Dip that end into the grease that comes in the kit and then thread it into the side of the tool all the way, and then take it straight back out again. If it's a single flare you're looking for a male brake fitting, then the job is done, so you can undo the bolts on the side and reveal a perfectly made flare. But if it's a double flare you're looking for a female brake fitting, when you unscrew the die, you need to turn it round, dip the other end in grease and screw the other end into the tool to create that double flare. Alright, so just need to fit this brake line to the driver's side now. I've already got the flexi hose attached to the strut, and I've already turned the steering left and right and made sure that this isn't going to kink at full lock either way. Really happy that I didn't have to buy longer flexis now that she's got extra lock. But yeah, basically just got to screw this male end into the caliper there. There's a bung in there, and then the female end goes onto there. Obviously while I'm doing it I need to bend it to shape. You obviously don't want to put any kinks in this pipe, but yeah, this should be very simple to do. The keen-eyed among you might actually have noticed that I've swapped this male end. Yeah, you can see here that there's two different lengths of these M10 male brake fittings, and these were the only ones that I had in my kit, so they're the ones I used when I first made these pipes up. But what I found is that when I screwed this into the caliper, the pipe was still loose. So yeah, basically when you screw this all the way in, you want it so that the copper pipe isn't able to be pushed up and down. But yeah, I'll leave that loose for now while I'm attaching this to the other end. Alright, just got to bleed the brakes now, and I've got my one-way valve thing from my other garage, so hopefully I'll be able to do this on my own. Feels like a firm pedal, so that's sweet. Man, I am so happy that Maude's front wheel fitment is back looking nice and aggressive again. Seems to be sitting just like it was with the old shock absorbers. And yeah, I know I've said it before, but really surprising that the Capri front legs actually make the wheel poke a bit less than the 1300 front legs. But yeah, she's back looking how she should now. And we've got some upgrades with the alloy front hubs, which might actually make a noticeable difference to the way the car drives, because it's a reduction in unsprung weight and it's a reduction in rotational mass, which apparently can make all the difference. Now, unexpectedly, the brand new M16 calipers are actually an upgrade to the ones that were fitted. I just assumed that she had M16s fitted all along, so yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll notice a difference in the stopping power. But yeah, we'll just have to see next time I get her on the road. I'm not going to take her for a test drive now. The fuel tank is super low and I don't want to go and fill it up right now because of what I plan to crack on with in the next video. But there was actually something I was having a look at underneath the car, just trying to suss out what this major noise is that's coming, well, sounds like it's coming from the rear axle, and I think I might have had a breakthrough. Right, thought I'd jump in Maude's cockpit to explain what I found yesterday, and there's something else I want to talk to you guys about. Now, when I was under the car the last couple of times where I was having a look around to see if I could see any bushes worn, you know, everything visibly looked okay. You know, everything's polybushed on this car and, you know, all the polybushes looked okay. But yesterday I decided to actually, you know, get a chisel. I haven't got a proper bar here, so I was using a chisel to wedge it in places and just actually see if there's any play. I was trying to wedge the leaf springs, which seemed fine, and then I started poking around at the anti-tramp bars. Now, where they meet the chassis seemed absolutely fine. I wasn't able to make them move within the bushes, but where they meet the axle, there's definitely some serious movement. I'll put a clip up now to show you what I mean. So as you can see, there's definitely movement there. The bushes are obviously worn, you know, on the inside of the bushes. You know, externally they look okay. Part of me was tempted to just do the bolt up, but yeah, you can see that the movement is, you know, in the centre of the bush, you know, where the bolt goes through. And I think there's a metal sleeve in there. So the play is obviously between the metal sleeve and the polybush material itself. So I've ordered a pair of those bushes. I am cheaping out a bit. I haven't ordered the other two that go where the tramp bar meets the chassis. I've just ordered the ones that look worn. And yeah, fingers crossed they'll stop the noise that I've been experiencing. But either way, they definitely need replacing anyway. Loads of you have been in touch recently with your suggestions, which I really, really appreciate. But there was one person that got in touch recently and suggested that I put the jack under the diff, like where the prop shaft meets it, and yeah, just jack up the diff essentially and see if it then will meet the prop shaft tunnel. Now, I'm not going to bother doing that now because I'm going to be under there very soon, you know, in a matter of days when those anti-tramp bar bushes come. So I'll do that test then after I've fitted the bushes, or maybe before and after. But yeah, massive, massive thanks to each and every one of you that always gets in touch with advice. I really, really appreciate it. Now, another thing I want to talk about is an idea I've had for a while, and yeah, I want to know what you guys reckon, to be honest. Since I've had this YouTube channel, I get loads of people getting in touch with me, asking me for advice on what parts to buy for your projects, what companies to go to, and I have had a lot of experience with various companies, some good and some bad, and I'm never afraid to tell you what parts are good and what are bad. There's one company in particular that threatened to take me to court because I was sharing my bad experiences with their parts. So it's fair to say that I've built up a lot of trust with you guys that watch my videos, and I've built up a lot of trust with a lot of companies that do support me, you know, with giving me little discounts on parts here and there and stuff, and I always, you know, give those guys a shout out on the channel. And I like to think that those companies do get a lot of value from getting shout outs on the channel. So what I've been thinking recently is to start listing parts for sale on my website, and these will only be from companies that are trusted. You know, I get emails every single day from companies, you know, some that are relevant to the automotive world and some that aren't, offering me thousands and thousands of pounds to promote their products or their company on my channel. And yeah, I'm not interested in, you know, chasing the money and just following where the money is. I'll only promote companies that I think are decent. But ultimately, you know, YouTube is my job now. So I've been looking at other ways that I can bring income in and, you know, keep this dream alive. I've got all these companies that, you know, fortunately do give me a slight discount on their parts. You know, I've got trade accounts and stuff. And I've got an audience that regularly ask me what parts they should buy for their projects and what companies they should use. So yeah, I'm planning on starting to list parts on my website at marcushayesuk.com, you know, such as the alloy hubs that I've fitted in this video, you know, the M16 caliper kit that I've fitted in this video, such as the poly bushes that I've just ordered for the anti-tramp bars. So yeah, I'll obviously keep you guys updated and keep you posted through social media as and when I start listing parts on my website. I still will be, you know, mentioning the companies that I get them from. I'm not going to start saying that these are Marcus Hayes parts by any means. You know, I want to still promote those companies that I've built up a good relationship with. But this is going to be a way where I can say to you guys, listen, these parts are worth fitting because they're on my website. Feel free to order them through my website at marcushayesuk.com. And, you know, it's another way that you guys can support and represent this channel and everything I'm trying to do. So do let me know what you reckon in the comments. And, you know, as I do start listing parts on my website, feel free to get in touch to say, listen, I'm after, you know, these parts. Are you able to source them from, you know, a trusted company? You know, and if I'm able to get hold of them from one of the trusted companies that I use, then I'll list them on my website and you can purchase them directly through me. Now, I think that's enough waffling from me. This has been quite a successful video by recent video standards, so I'm going to end it here. If you did think it was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe if you're new to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to follow me on social media. I'll leave a link to my website down there and my Patreon for any of you guys that want to jump on that. Massive, massive thanks to all my patrons for your continued support. I'll leave my email address in the description for anyone who wants to contact me. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.